Hey everyone, so today I'm here with a new video and I thought of this concept of drawing something that had to do with my personality. And in the beginning you saw I was a protagonist, that's my actual result, but today I felt like what would happen or who would I be like if I chose the opposite things that I basically wouldn't choose, and see like what kind of person I'd be if I was an opposite. So I took a personality test online. I forgot what the exact link or what the test was actually called, but I'll look it up and I'll have the link to the test so you can take it for yourself in the description. And basically the concept of taking this is I would think it would be interesting to create something like a drawing of a person that would basically be the opposite of me. And I thought this test would be kind of interesting to describe what that person would be like, such as like weaknesses, how they are, what they like to do, etc. So basically my results were I got a virtuoso, and you can see the results of what they basically are, and it is the exact opposite of my original results, like what I'd actually choose. If you go back to the beginning of the video, to the initials, you'll see that they're completely different and basically the opposite, because out of each category there are only two things that you could be, so it's either one or the other, so everything is different. And basically I'm scrolling down trying to get an idea of how they are and try to incorporate it into a drawing. Now I made 6 thumbnails, and at first I thought I wanted the second one, but as I kept drawing I realized I really liked the 6th one instead, and decided to recreate that thumbnail. It was actually a lot more difficult than I thought because, one, I don't really draw thumbnails all that often because I feel like I'm gonna like it too much, and then when I get into the actual drawing it won't exactly look the same. And another thing about me is that I thought this was challenging for me because I do not like geometric shapes, and with virtuosos they're more on the mechanical side of things, and I'm more like free flowing, just not anything geometric, mechanical, nothing that has to do with like math or science. That's totally not me. So I thought for this character I'd have her try to build something, create something that has to do with shapes, and so I try to make like her create some kind of machine and such. And in the background, in the thumbnail, I tried to make more geometric shapes to emphasize that she really likes to analyze things and create things that are kind of perfect, which is like another trait of virtuoso. They're very analytical, so I thought that was pretty fitting for this drawing. The reason why I didn't draw a male character to make it a true opposite is because it's not exactly a true opposite that I'm trying to go for. It's more like me but in an alternate universe kind of scenario. So I just drew her kind of like something I wouldn't really be doing. Like, I don't have plans behind me, just trying to think of different things all the time. Now I'm going to go in with the actual line art. I usually use a 0.08 fine liner for the character because I really want her to stand out the most. And I find this to be one of my favorite liners because with smaller liners, I feel like they're easier to make mistakes, and for bigger ones, I just feel more comfortable. It makes it more bold, and I just feel it's easier to use than just a smaller liner. But as you see in a few minutes, I do go in with smaller liners just because I feel like they're good for detailing. But just for now, I'm just going to outline the character in 0.08 to make her bold. During this video, I kind of divide what I originally used by half as I keep drawing or outlining, because I don't want to go super thin, but then again, I don't want it to look the exact same as the first liner that I used. So I just thought it would be fitting just to half the second liner that I'll use. And I keep going for like the entire drawing. So I went from 0.08 to 0.04, now to 0.02 for the finer details. And another thing that I truly struggle with is adding details to drawings, because I don't want to, one, overwork it, two, I feel like it would like make it too, I don't want to say realistic because it's not realistic at all, but I feel like it'd be adding just a little too much, so I'm trying to work on that for sure. Another thing that I like with the micron pens, with the micron pens, is that when you erase over it, they dry fairly quickly, and you don't really have to worry about like streaking or like smudging of the pen once it's erased. Now I'm going in with my colored pencils, and I got these for a Christmas gift, so I'm not quite sure where you can get it, but I think you can get it at Michael's. And honestly, these are okay. They're fine to use. My only problem is like it's you can't really know what color they'll put down because it is different than the color that they're in. And even though they're pretty vibrant compared to Crayola, which is what I used to use since I'm broke, so it's better than Crayola, but my problem is one, they don't come down as the color that they portray around like the coating and stuff. Second of all, they have no names to them, and that can be very confusing because it's like you want to use a specific color but you don't know what they're called and can't memorize it. Like, see, there's like no name on it, so you kind of just have to eyeball it, make a guess, and try to put it down. For this character, I forgot in the beginning, but I wanted to try a different lighting source coming from like a blinded window, and I'm not sure how that really turned out, to be honest. Like, it looks like stripes, but I really tried to portray that in this drawing. It was very difficult. I'll probably have to do more like studies of it for sure, because I feel like this lighting is kind of cool, not your typical just right in front of you kind of lighting. Has some weird shading, like stripes, and it's going to be different when it hits certain objects. Like, for example, the blueprints to her left, like behind her on the left side, I tried to make it curve a little bit so that it would give the dimension that those are rolled up pieces of paper, like just blueprints. And on the right side, I wasn't sure how to go about it because it's trash. It's her trash pile, thrown away ideas. This is another factor, or should I say trait? I don't know what the word is, but I wanted to portray that, like, since they're very analytical, they make a mistake, they would throw away that idea completely and start over, kind of like a perfectionist, which I also think is the opposite of how I actually am, because if I make a mistake, I just make a mistake. I'm not gonna redo the whole thing for a simple mistake that probably isn't that major. Now, if it was, I probably would, but like in this situation, there's so many beside her. I feel like that's just not me whatsoever. So I felt like that was fitting. And as you can see, my black colored pencil is very small because I try to limit my black, but I feel like with the colors that I have, they don't give enough contrast to the drawing. So I go in with that, try to add some black, not like overbear the whole drawing with it though, because that could take away from the drawing itself and just make it look like it's all black, and that's not what I'm trying to do. Just trying to emphasize certain areas so that I can have a little bit of contrast, not that so like if it's in black and white it'd be like totally grayscale. That's what I'm trying to actually strengthen, to be honest, because I feel like when I draw traditionally you can only see it in like grayscale. It's very difficult for me to try to do contrast. So I felt like using black in this situation was definitely a good idea. Now I'm trying to make it seem like light is coming through the window and trying to hit like the character and her surroundings, sometimes like on the wall. And I'm not sure how that turned out. I feel like it was a good attempt. Like I said, I'll probably have to do more studies on that kind of lighting because I really want to draw something that has that lighting again, like someday, maybe in a few months or so. I'm not quite sure, but I found it interesting and I tried my best. So later on in this drawing, I will use a red pen rather than like a red colored pencil to connect the lines in the background so that the ideas kind of come together. Another aspect of that analytical trait that I mentioned before that she probably has, so that she can get like kind of that perfect idea or a pretty good concept of the idea that she wants to create. Kind of like the process that I was going through a little earlier when trying to make the thumbnails. So now I'm just trying to clean up using a white gel pen, and I try not to use it as much because with the white gel pen that I have, it does leave the color that was underneath show up again, like very lightly. But since this is colored pencil and I didn't really press hard or use a lot of it in the background, I feel like it's still usable. But I will go over that background again because I feel like it's a little sketchy. Even though the final result is still a little bit sketchy, I felt like it just needed a little bit more saturation. And now I'm trying to put like the shadows underneath like the lines connecting to the different ideas or pieces of paper, whatever you would like to think of it. And I feel like it gives the lines a little bit more dimension, like they're not just part of the wall, that they're separate objects. And now I'm just trying to bring more color into my drawing because I feel like there isn't really enough. And I tried to go over the whole drawing later on with a yellow pencil because I wanted to tie it all in like together so that they're not just separate colors. I'm not sure if they quite work with colored pencils, but I do know if you do this for, say, watercolor, it definitely helps out a bit to kind of make it like one drawing instead of just separate things on a piece of paper. For some of the final steps, I go back with my .08 liner to go around the character just to make her pop out a bit, since I kind of lost it during the coloring process and erasing, making the line art more faded and such. And I'm just trying to write my Instagram account name again because I tried with the white gel pen and it didn't quite work because, like I said, it only makes things lighter underneath. So I'm trying to write that. I'm trying to do some finishing touches, and that's my drawing. Thank you for watching. Make sure to give it a thumbs up. Bye.